Good morning. Good morning to this new beautiful week. Such a pleasure to be here like always. And so let's just open up the space and the heart to receive the messages for today, which are really exciting. I was hearing the messages while I was getting ready. So I just invite you to open up the heart space and receive to just be in the present moment, to feel that which is meant to resonate with you. So then you will know what the message is for you. And so in this beautiful space of the heart, of love, of remembrance, of consciousness, you realize and remember how important you are in this world, in this planet, in your life. Beautiful. Good morning. So after that beautiful opening of just being in the heart space and feel the difference in the energy that is happening right now as we tune into these messages. So the messages for today are about your story, which your story carries so much wisdom and at the same time clues for your journey. And the thing about the story is not just, first of all, it starts with your personal story, like what happened in your life or as much as you can remember and what you might not be able to remember. But it also goes back into the story of your parents, the story of your grandparents, and so on. So it's a beautiful tradition when the older generation actually tell us stories, because then we begin to understand them more, and not understand them more with the mind, but understand them more with the heart, as in like, oh, you went through that, which might really like you might have this light bulb moment of like, yeah, I can resonate with that too, because I have that as well. So the story here, of course, your own story is super important in this journey. But at the same time, the similarities of your own story with the ones in your lineage. So we'll just talk about that briefly, and then we go into other ones, right? Because I'm sure that your story does resonate with so many people that are not part of your actual like blood lineage. Hi, Peter. So good to have you here. And so your story, right? It carries so much wisdom because you have lived it. And this is where wisdom comes. Wisdom comes from experiences. And also when you pay attention, you can see the different patterns. And this is why it's very important to be honest with yourself about your story. And then see, what are like the corners that you're trying to hide and push away of your own story. If you are actually feeling that some part of it you wish you could delete it, right? As in like you're just like drawing, or you're just making this amazing masterpiece with a pencil, and all of a sudden there's this part, you look at the masterpiece and you see this part that's like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, and you just like erase it, right? So what happens with a masterpiece when you erase that, part of its own energy was lost, because the masterpiece itself cannot be a masterpiece without everything that is in the canvas, which is exactly for your life. The masterpiece that your life is cannot be at its fullest as the masterpiece that it is without everything. This includes everything that you've been ashamed of feeling guilty, everything that brings you bliss, everything that brought you tears, everything that brought you anger, like especially those parts of you that you just wish you could like hide it or put like some kind of patch in the masterpiece, And if you put a patch, like I'm just giving you this example so you can be very visual. Sometimes visuals really help. So if you have this masterpiece in front of you that is just so great, and people are looking at it, it's like, holy smokes, I feel it. I feel it in me, and not just in my heart. I get the chills when I'm looking at this masterpiece. But then there is like, all of a sudden, you know, like let's just say this like magical hand goes and bam, there's a patch in there. It's like, whoa, what just happened? You know, all the amazing balance of this masterpiece kind of just went away like this. The moment that this magical hand put this hideous patch and are not letting us see the most beautiful part of this masterpiece. Let this land for you. The most beautiful part of this masterpiece. The most beautiful part of your own masterpiece, of your own story, are those parts that you're trying to hide away from. Are the parts that for so long you push them aside for whatever reason it was, you know? Maybe you did make some kind of like mistake in a way that is seen as a mistake out there, you know? But like, I really believe that mistakes don't really happen. It's just reactions and actions happen out of lack of awareness. So this is where some things come in and that we might not feel very cool with ourselves because we did something, or we allow somebody else to do it for us, you know, out of lack of boundaries. This comes from self-love. And so, you know, those parts that you have been pushing aside, that you're just like, you know, I'm erasing this and I'm like tearing this apart and I'm throwing it in the trash can. Those parts are really what makes the masterpiece a masterpiece. So those parts of your story, the parts that sometimes even looking at them or thinking about them for you is too much, those parts are like the little seeds that will take you into higher levels of awareness, into more self-love. Because you're not trying to push them away, you know? You are acknowledging them. And again, going back into art, because art is such an amazing example, because some people might look at an art piece and be like, what in the world is this? Other people might look at it like, holy smokes, I'm just like in this. And I'm not even sure what I'm looking at, but I feel it. You know, so there's more of those sensations, right? Yes, it's very like visual, but the visual is the portal that takes you into the dimensions of the emotions. And so it's very similar with yourself. Kind of like in the last live video of last week about when Ganesh was giving us that exercise to look at yourself in the mirror, right? Which is the access point for your physical body. It's very similar. When you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're seeing all your story. Every single thing that happened to you. If somebody made fun of you because your eyes were big, somebody made fun of you because you were short, somebody made fun of you because who knows, you know, for whatever it is. That comes up when you're looking at the masterpiece, okay? I really want you to like really get in tune with your masterpiece. So when you're looking at your own masterpiece, that comes up. This is the reason why looking at the mirror, especially if you have had problems with like self-image or being made fun of for so long, or you making fun of yourself for so long, it can be very intense because you are not acknowledging that the you yourself is a masterpiece. And at times you can be very judgmental of yourself, and it's normal. I really feel that it happens to most of us, okay? But so here it is, the point, you know? Acknowledging those parts of the masterpiece that perhaps at that moment for you, they're not good. Perhaps at that moment you gotta shift it a little bit or change it, you know? The masterpiece continues to change. And this is one of the reasons that I feel and I believe that that's the reason why we continuously change as a masterpiece. You know, we find ourselves, right? And say like, oh, I feel so good about myself. And I'm like, I'm so me. And then a month later, like that version of yourself that was me already elevated even more. So it's a masterpiece that continues to shift, okay? So the shift will become easier when you acknowledge that the story itself also shifts, okay? And so therefore, you don't longer need to like put crap on your own story, because you can change that story, okay? You can change the way that you look at the story. You can accept it. And it doesn't mean that at the beginning could be challenging for sure. I know in my story, it was challenging at the very beginning. But knowing that we're constantly changing, that if you were at one point in your story and you didn't like it, you have the power in you to change that version of yourself, therefore changing their own story. Okay, so this is very important when you're looking at yourself as, taking a step back, and again looking at your entire life as that stepping stones for the masterpiece that you already are, and acknowledging and really seeing those parts of you that you loved. You start with the parts of you that you love and that you didn't love, but now you love it, and then you move into the parts that you didn't really like very much. And why do you do this? Because then you really want to build that portal of awareness, so then you have more strength. Okay, not that you don't have it, but because you're seeing things that you love, then love immediately makes you feel like, ooh, okay, I got this. So then the portal to look at these parts of the masterpiece that are like one of the most important parts, but that you might not be aware of, it's a little bit easier. Okay, so it's a little bit easier to see those things, and then to go back into the awareness of like, okay, I might not really like this part of my story, but it doesn't mean that I allow that portal to take me all the way down into those emotions, and all the way down again into suffering, and again into that spiral that takes me in the loop with my head that I'm not good enough, or whatever it is that you have been telling yourself, And so here is like very important, because in this aspect of you, when you are being very honest to your own self, when you're being very honest to your own self about your own story, you can see the patterns. You can see the patterns that push you away from something. You can see the patterns that are meant to be alchemized for you to continue to reach higher levels of consciousness, for you to be you in whichever form, whatever feels that it is for you. Okay? And so your story, as again the masterpiece, is a crucial part of your journey. So I wouldn't be here having this conversation and also delivering these messages had I not made peace with my own masterpiece and my story, which was quite challenging, to be honest, and some of you really know my story, but I carry a lot of guilt in me because I cheated on my ex-husband big time, and I was not honest about it, not honest to myself, okay? And this is what the key is, like being honest to yourself. The moment that I was able to see the pattern, then I was like, oh shit, but at the same time, like having the awareness and really being honest to yourself opens up the space for you to heal it, integrate it, alchemize it, whatever you want to call it, and feel the emotions that rise up, So feeling all the guilt, all the shame, all the blame from doing what I had done, to an amazing person. But it started with the external. Then to me, what was I doing to me? Because I was punishing myself for having those emotions, like almost like an external part of myself kept pointing fingers at me saying, like you're not good enough and whatever else, right? So this is what I mean. When you're looking at your own masterpiece, when you're looking at your own story and really being honest, you don't have to be honest with somebody else, Of course you can. But the most important honesty comes with yourself, about your own story. And this is such an important key on this awareness journey, on this like awakening journey. If you're not being honest with yourself, how can you be honest with the rest of the world, or with your own partner, whoever you're very intimate with? There will be parts that you would shy away, because you are the most important masterpiece to the self, okay? To the self. And again, without the journey of your own story, with all the chaos and all the bliss and everything that happens, the person that you look at yourself, at the self in the mirror, wouldn't be exactly what it is right now, which it is a masterpiece. Okay, so this is really what like I'm feeling, and I'm telling, like, the one thing that if you can that you can get out of this video is to really go in tune with that you are a masterpiece in your life, in this world. We're all different masterpiece, and we all, when we really come back into that, because it's coming back to see your own perfection. Okay, and perfection is not in the way that we see it, you know, that like, hi darling. It's not in the way that it's like, oh my gosh, she has like the perfect skin, or he has the perfect muscles and the perfect height, whatever. That has nothing to do with any of that. Perfection is you, period. Whether you're short or tall, whatever it is, you know, your own expression, that is perfection. The expression of yourself, whether it's physically, with your words, with your hands, the way that you draw, the way that you dress, the way that you speak, like literally everything about you, the whole composition of your being is perfection. And that's what I'm referring to, okay? And that, it is the masterpiece, okay? Every single moment of your life, you have been perfect. Every single moment of your life, there has been a masterpiece that perhaps you were not even able to see it. Or even going into, like, again, when somebody goes to a gallery, right? And there's those people that are looking at like an artist, is like, this is crap. And another person comes in and is like, holy smokes, what in the world is this? So prior to being like super aware as at the level of awareness that you have right now, you were one of those that said like, what the fuck is that? And now, you know, as you continue to grow into your own awareness, coming into your own strength, coming into your own truth, your authenticity, then you're looking at the masterpiece like, holy shit, whoa. And like almost like taking a step back and like, okay, I need a second. I need a second, okay? So it's not that it was never there. It has always been there. It's just, again, like the lens, you know, which lenses are you looking through? Are you looking through the lenses of humanity that says that you have to have some kind of height and some kind of weight in order to be like this perfect version of yourself? Or are you looking with the eyes of love, with the eyes of consciousness? When you look with the eyes of consciousness, then you see your perfection, you see your masterpiece. And yes, at times, you know, like the mind can play all these tricks, but then you know, you catch it. It's like, you play this game a long time, you know, and thank you for that. But then I see it. And I'm seeing it through the heart, I'm seeing it through the eye, and I'm just seeing it, okay? Your own perfection, your own masterpiece, that has always been here, but it's here because of your own story. Your own story. And it's those stories, those parts of the stories where like brought you to your knees, brought you to like to cry, to just like feel like that you couldn't go any longer. Those parts of the stories are what make the masterpiece the most important yet of your life. Because those are the ones that will open up the space for this masterpiece to continue to evolve. Do you understand that? Those parts of you, they're very dark and shadowy, and you know that it's just like feels like, okay? Those parts are the portals for the masterpiece to continue to evolve. So if you were looking at this masterpiece, you know, and day by day shifts, or like you have it in your, who knows, in your room, and you look at it in an hour, you go back, and then you come back into it, and then it shifts, you know? The continuously shifting masterpiece that you are, that you can see it when you don't push anything aside, when you're looking at the whole picture, at the whole story, and say, wow, what an amazing story. What an amazing story. And I wouldn't be here without this part. Almost like you can pinpoint in the masterpiece, like, holy shit, this part right here really took me here. And without this part right here, this part of the masterpiece wouldn't even be complete. Your story has such an impact on you, on the way that you evolve, on the way that you're lineage evolves, and further back on the way that we all evolve. So your masterpiece, your own story are the key points of expression through which consciousness and this revolution of consciousness is happening. Your own story. And it's marvelous. It's so marvelous, and it's so important to really honor it. To really honor it. Because otherwise, without your story, you wouldn't be here. Without your story, you wouldn't even know where you came from. You wouldn't even have memories, you know what I mean? It's almost like waking up every day to like, who are you? You know, who are you? How did you get here? Do you see how important your story is in this whole thing of consciousness? Because you are, if you were to see and zoom out, there's like a web of connections, and you are one dot, but like it's not like a minimal dot, you know, one hub of energy. And when the hub of energy is very strong and it's able to see itself and hold itself to continue to evolve, it sends the signals to everybody else that is connected. And then holding space too for the other hubs, the other beings around. And they do the same thing. And they do the same thing. When you honor your journey, when you honor your own story, when you know the story happened so you could be here. And perhaps there was not much awareness happening, and that's cool, you acknowledge it, but now you can. And you have the awareness to say no, okay, I will change this part because I don't really resonate much with it. And I can shift it. I can shift it. I have the power inside of me to change it because I know I can. You know you can. You know you can. Again, at times just the story of the head or the story of the collective that has been happening. And that's okay, you know? We are all feeling something from somebody else. That's cool. But learn how to be in tune with your own energy. You get in tune with your own energy way more when you're looking at the whole masterpiece that you are and at your whole story. And then asking questions, you know, if you still have your parents, if you still have family, like, what was your life like? What happened to you as a kid? What happened to you as a teenager? And see the patterns. Again, this is why storytelling is so powerful. It's such a powerful way of connecting. And it's such a powerful way of like realizing something about yourself that perhaps you wouldn't have if somebody were not telling their story. This is why I share my story. It's so powerful because then you realize, like, if you had put this person in a pedestal, it's like, wow, you're also a human. You know, we all are. Sometimes we forget, especially with social media, you know, especially with like this Hollywood like actors and stuff or models, whatever, you know, there's almost like this immediate thing of a pedestal because like, oh, whether, you know, they look great or they have all this money or whatever it is, you know. Bring yourself here. Bring yourself here first. Bring yourself here to your body. Look at your own masterpiece before you look at anybody else's. And then if you catch yourself looking at somebody else's masterpiece and feeling like jealousy, you know, just return back to yours and have the inquiry of why is it that you felt jealous? Most of the time, I'm not saying always, but most of the time, it's because your own being is saying like, dude, like I have that also inside of me and you haven't even seen it. Yet you're looking at all this masterpiece when you have the most beautiful and perfect masterpiece ever in your life every single day. So looking at your masterpiece, understanding its journey, understanding your journey through your story. This is such a key component and such a big opening and portal for you to tune in into our story, the story of humanity, the story that happened many, many years ago, that lives within you, that lives within you. The story is still written in you, just like it's written in me. It's written in all of us. But we, as beings, as multidimensional beings, have a way of really connecting with our own story through the physical body. Our own story through the physical body. And the moment that we like scratch the surface of our story, like the portals, like if you were to look at this way, it's not that it's below, you know, but the moment that the surface of your own story begins to unweave itself, to weave again into a bigger version of itself, then the portal to our story begins to surface up. And many things rise up to the surface, you know, like some of you have felt that, like, the pain of humanity, the pain of women, the pain of men, you know? It's not that just women have gone through so much pain, men have gone through so much pain too. We have all gone through so much pain, the pain of the land, you know? Tuning in into like cultures that were part of like the region that you were born in, and everything that happened in that story, that's written all over you, and it's not dead. It's like so freaking alive in all of us. And the reason that we tune in into it is because we have chosen to do so, to release whatever it is still in the land that is not allowing consciousness to rise up again. As in, like, us to remember what we are and what we came here to do. To be in unity, you know? And that doesn't mean like, you know, uniting as in like physically. It just means like honoring, you know? Honoring, respecting like every single being, not just humans. Because we know we come from the same space, and we know that we're so powerful when we acknowledge each other. And when we say, like, I see you, just like you see me. I see you, and I love what I see. And then learning from one another. This is so powerful. So in my story, and some of you know this, the moment that my trances and the Kundalini awakening got really intense, and this happened in Thailand when I lived in Koh Phangan, my body began to dance. And I felt like this powerful energy of a goddess, which now I know it was another version of myself rooting itself into this body at that moment. And then I began to tune in more into what happened in the land where I was born and raised in Peru. You know, and there were so many cultures there. And one of the biggest ones was the Incas. And what happened when the Spaniards came. And you know what the interesting thing about my story is? That I have the lineage from the Incas in one side of the family, and from the other side I also have the Spanish. So imagine the confusion in my being of having both sides that murder some, and the other ones that were killed by the other ones, you know? So there's a lot that happens in your being. And again, without really knowing that part of my story, I wouldn't have been able to tune in into all the wisdom of the land. And I'm going back into the land of Peru because it connects to me through the trees here in the US. Because all the trees are connected, right? The land is connected. And I wouldn't even know how to hold space in the shamanic way that I do had I not tuned in into the story of that land. The story of the land I was born into. There's a story on the land that you were born into. And there's a particular reason why you were born in that land and in the family that you were born into. But first, the key is to honor your story. If you don't honor your story, you will still be in those loops of karma. Over and over and over again. If you are not honest with yourself about your own story, about what people did to you, about what you did to people, about what you did to yourself. And yes, you know, some people say it's very difficult. If you go with the mentality that is very difficult, it's going to be very difficult. If you go with the mentality of like, this has sucked in the past, but it no longer will, and I'm choosing that, I am declaring they will no longer be challenging. They will be way easier to look at your story, to honor everything that happened in your life, See it all, see your masterpiece, the masterpiece that you are as the perfect being that you are, and then little by little, or perhaps very fast, opening up that portal of the story of the land that you were born into. And the gifts, okay? This is also where a lot of the gifts continue to surface up, because then you're connecting with the ancestors of the land. You're connecting with that part of the land, you know, the Mother Earth. You're connecting with that magic of that part of the world that lives within you. Lives within you. Every single story ever written, or ever lived, let's say that, because sometimes story is written in different aspects. Every single story that was lived is still living through you. And it's your choice to accept it or not. And it's your choice to say no to it and perhaps still being in the same cycles that you're in. Or is it your choice to say yes to it and break those cycles and continue to raise your vibrations, continue to feed this revolution of consciousness that we're part of, and continue to say no more to separation, no more to the illusion, and here is brotherhood and sisterhood, family. It's your choice. It's your choice. And of course, you know, I really hope, and my wish is that you choose you. Whatever that means to you. Perhaps at times you will say like, I need a break. And that's okay. Honoring you. You know what I mean? That's very important, honoring you. And then when you feel that confidence, or if you feel that intuition in you and just going for it, because this is your story. It's not really that like somebody will like tell you and be like, do this, do that, whatever, you know? If you have a mentor, or if you work with me or have worked with me, like I don't tell you what to do. I give you options. And it's you the one that chooses to do so. Because then you know your story. If you need to take a break out of it, if you need to say like time out, you take a time out for yourself. And if somebody tells you like go for it, it's like maybe that works for somebody else, but then maybe that doesn't work for you. Or that works for you, and like honor that and be like, please continue to do that, you know? But like this is you. This is you. This is all for you. You go back into you. You go back into your pure consciousness. You go back into feeling every single dimension of yourself in your physical body, in this reality. When you choose your own story and you choose to write it the way that you want to write it, and that starts with accepting how the story has been played out all along, and seeing it, honoring, be like, cool, thank you, you know, and thank you for like, if you want to say, you know, all the crap that my family gave me and whatever, and now this is the turning point. What I choose, how I write my own story. I choose the brush size. I choose the different colors. I choose whatever it is that I want to put into it. If I want to make it more like three-dimensional, and I begin to paint and design my own masterpiece the way that I want to design it. Do you see the difference? It's not being just like, you know, it's not being like done for you. You consciously choose everything. And you put the little details that you want to put around. And this comes to very important. And the parts that you were trying to hide away from in your own story, the parts that you didn't like about yourself and of your own story, you really put little details into the masterpiece and make it pop out. And then you celebrate that. Because then you take a step back from the masterpiece and you look at it and you're saying, you. Wow, you, look at you. Everything else wouldn't even be the same had you not given this attention to. And it's just like the celebration of your journey, the celebration of everything that happened for the entire masterpiece to come to life, for you to have the awareness to design your masterpiece every single day for the rest of your life, as long as you choose it to. Wow. Wow. Let's just take a really deep breath in here. That was very powerful. Wow, root that into you. Root that into you as I am rooting it into myself, because this is the first time I heard it too. I'm very excited to have a chat with you too. Love tomorrow. Yes, yes, yes. Your masterpiece. It's for you to design it. You're the most perfect, with so much talent as the artist. And you choose. You choose how you want to see it. See, you choose how you design it. You choose how you want to see it, how you want to feel it. And then see the difference, how it was, right? Like I said, for me before, it's like, whoa, please put that thing away. I couldn't, because I hadn't honored it. And I wasn't honoring my family. I wasn't honoring like all the karmatic ties that I had chosen to live through, because we choose it. We choose it. People gives us options, you know, people have give you options all the time, but it's you the one that chose it. See, when we come to that realization, to that awareness, then things can go a little bit more gentle, because there's not so much heaviness, you know you made the choice. So it's like, okay, well, I made the choice, all right, let's honor it, take responsibility for that which was, and take responsibility for that which will be. Your masterpiece. You, period. You don't need to be different. You're perfect as you are. You're perfect as you are. I'm going to say this again. You're perfect as you are. It doesn't matter what age you are, how tall you are, like your skin color, what language you speak, where you were born into this world, or where you live right now. Like, none of that matters in this scheme of things, But what matters is that you are you, your unique self. Your unique self. Allowing that to really come through. And perhaps, one day will be completely different than the rest. That's cool. And also knowing things change, things change. But yes, you are perfect as you are. Put that in your sticky note if you need to, See it every day if you need to. And say it, Say in mantras. This is something so powerful to tell yourself. I am perfect as I am. As you look at yourself in the mirror, you can even add that. If not, cool. Just say it, hear it, and say it from the heart and feel it. Feel it. How it really roots into your system. I am perfect as I am. Say with all the strength of your being, and know that that is true. Know that it's true. Feel it, and feel the truth within yourself igniting and remembering and awakening. So that is also an awesome access point for you to go back into remembering yourself, remembering your story, our story. You are such an important piece of this whole puzzle of consciousness. You are such an important piece of this whole puzzle of consciousness. Such an important piece. Such an important piece. We need so many people to be awake, so many people to be so in tune to their hearts and honoring themselves and others, to continue to make different leaps of faith in the journey of evolution in this planet. Imagine if we were one person down to do so, and then you come in, and then you are the reason why we just go up like that. Any of that person could be any of us, And it's just like, you're important, period. You're important, you're perfect as you are, and honor that perfection in you that has always been there. Honor that perfection in you that has always been there. When you honor that, you honor all of us. And when I'm saying all of us, I don't mean just like the humans or the beings are having a human experience right now in this year, but every single being that has ever existed in this planet. Because again, their energies is still in ours. We have evolved so much as human beings that without the first humans, if they were different, we would be different. So they're still in us and their wisdom. Okay, this is why it's so important to honor your story. Because again, when you honor you, you honor the rest of us. And that is another access point for their wisdom to be remembered in your being. And when it's remembered, you go back to tune in into what we call gifts. Whatever that is, you know? Whatever that is. And we're all gifted. We are all gifted. It's just that some might just feel it more, or some will take a little bit longer to remember. Who knows? But that doesn't change the fact that we're all gifted. You are so gifted and so powerful. And again, perfect as you are. Holy smokes, do you guys feel that energy in the heart? My heart is like, oh. I feel like I just took some cacao, which I didn't, by the way. And speaking of cacao, so next Monday, which is the full moon, having a cacao ceremony with a sun healing online. If you like to be part of it, click on the link in my bio or send me a message. I'll send you the link. It's $33 per person, and it's I'm so excited, especially for the inner dance journey. That's another key. That's another portal of consciousness. You know, this is the thing, you guys, because we have so much available to us. We have so many tools available to us. And then when you say yes to you, like the links, the energetic links to all these tools just open up. Just open up, you know? Like when I said yes to myself and I left everything behind, which I felt it was everything behind, all these things opened up and I was like, whoa, wow. Which introduced me to so many techniques and so many amazing brothers and sisters that guided me through so much. Finding part of my tribe, you know? Your tribe is out there if you don't think you felt it or like found it. And it's just waiting for you to say, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to see me. I'm ready to see my story. I'm ready to see my masterpiece. I'm just ready. You know, and here's like a little thing that Ganesh is telling me. And I'm like seeing it, you know? Be playful with it. Be playful with it. Because at times, you know, it could be a little serious. The journey could be a little serious with all the releases, you know, whatever. Yes, it's true. But when you design the masterpiece, you don't have to be serious. You know, like, I'm not sure if you have ever seen an artist actually design something or paint something. They're like one of the messiest people, most happy people ever. I have so many like artist friends in Las Vegas. And like they mess up their clothes, you know, with all this paint, and they're just like looking at this masterpiece come alive right in front of their eyes. Goodness, it's just like, have that. Tune into that, because again, that's also in you. Tune into that and just have fun with your own design and try new things, you know, try new things around. Perhaps like try different paint. And you know, I'm just like talking in this kind of language just so you feel like that you are the artist, you are designing that, you know. Try different like colors, try different like whatever it is, you know. Just try something and make it like the most powerful yet. So then you can feel the strength of the masterpiece. So then you can take a look back, you know, step back and look at it, and it hits you right in the heart. It hits you. And then you're just like, oh, fuck, I'm so proud of myself. You know, have you ever have like those moments? Even if you like when you were such a kid, right? And you're just going through very hard moments, or who knows, you know, you quit something and then years pass by, you're looking at it like, oh, I'm so proud of myself, I made it. You know, it's just like same thing when you're looking at it. It's like, oh, don't even have words of how amazing it is, this life that I just created for myself, and this being that I've become, and I'm still becoming. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Wow. Can you imagine how the rest would be if that's just the beginning? When you're looking at it like, oh, yeah, it's just the beginning. Right here, right now, it's just the beginning, and it will be even better. Having that vision that you are as perfect as you are, that you are a powerful masterpiece, and you have the power of creation within you, in your hands, in your heart, in your eyes, in your ears, in all of you. The power of creation runs through you. You know, the feminine energy has nothing to do with the sex. That power of creation is in you, through you, and the power of creation of every single being that came here before us and is still here, through you, in you, around you. Honor that space, and honor you, and honor you. Wow. There's many deep energies that are coming through, which is really wonderful. And this is why I love sharing all the messages with you in live videos, because I learned so much too, you guys, you know? I guess I had no idea what we're going to say. And here it is. The power within us. Oh, how wonderful. And my wish is that you see it and you live it at the greatest yet, at your fullest, and just be in it, you know, be in the flow of being and rooting your dreams into this reality and doing that again over and over and over again, and having that intention, you know. It's like it's happening, period. You know, it's happening, period. Yeah, declare it, say it, goodness, say it. So powerful. Your voice is so powerful. No more shying away from it. No more shying away from it. Say it from this space, from the heart. Say it. Say it, say it, say it, until you see it right in front of your physical eyes. And say it more. Yeah. So beautiful. Goodness, so much energy here. Yeah. I want to invite you to a masterclass that I'm having this Sunday. We're going to do 90 minutes of talking about the elements, you know, to like, what are the elements? What do they do in our lives? How do we work with them? Little techniques that I will share into. And exercises, we'll be doing some exercises and questions and answers. If you have any, you know, I definitely welcome them. And see how that can help you in your journey. Because honestly, working with the elements like totally changed my life. Like literally, especially having my mentor that like guides me with that. I was like, wow. See, more tools, right? So it's free. You can sign up on my website. You know, the link is in my bio. Send me a message. You know, if you have any trouble with it, I'll gladly send you the link personally. And it's just like 90 minutes. So we start at 11 a.m. my time, Central Time. So it's 9 a.m. Pacific. And yeah, that's on Sunday. This Sunday coming up. And yeah, exciting times to be here for sure, for sure. Yeah. And well, you know, if here's another thing. There's quite a few activations, you know, on my podcast that you can tune into them. And this is something that you can kind of do repeatedly, honestly, because I've actually tried them in different times, and different times I've done different things. And also, when you sign up for my newsletter, and those of you that are already part of it, you also have to do that step of signing up again. When you sign up to my newsletter, you receive 4 emails. Okay, each email has a different activation. And that's just a way of like sharing my journey, but also helping you as well. So we go through protection, we go through self-love, we go through like awareness, and then going back into your body. Because I don't even know where this thing came from about the protection is not important. I mean, in my journey with the people that I work with is really freaking important. So this is why we start with protection. Anyway, so it's like there's 4 activations in each day. I send you one, and then you know, while you put headphones on, you chill, you listen, I guide you, and that's all. And you elevate your vibrations, like awesome things. I also share like some part of my journey in the emails just to make it more personal, so we can get to know each other a little bit more. And I would gladly, you know, if you reply to the email, I definitely read it too. So again, the link is in my bio, or send me a message, you know. And yeah, and enjoy this energy, because it's still like this is how I see it too, like dancing around, you know, moving the hips and stuff. I'm imagining that, like, and seeing the energy as like kind of like a woman, you know, maybe because I'm having a woman experience, but yeah, but it's just like passing through, you know. And I don't feel it's really gonna stop when I stop the live video. So if you have time for yourself, chill for a bit, maybe just laying down, and allow those energies to root, because the messages that just came through were just like, okay, so they're still rooting into your system. So just take a little time, if you have the time, for sure. Okay, if you need to do something, get out of the house or whatever, just take deep breaths, you know, and have the intention that it's still rooting into you. But if you can chill afterwards and just relax and feel the energies, then maybe you will receive some kind of information in whichever way comes for you, you know. Yeah, beautiful, Kelly, beautiful. And again, any assistance in your awakening process, I'm here for you. Send me a message. Okay, I love you, love you, love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Wonderful week. And I wish you the best. And again, look at your masterpiece, sign it, like, love it, honor it all, and just keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Ciao, peace.